Well, Toni and I have been married for almost 48 years, and you would think that by this time we'd pretty much know everything about one another. And yet I am always surprised when Toni mentions something about her childhood that I didn't know. Our relationship with God is different. He knows everything about us, sometimes more than we wish he knew. But there is a great benefit to that knowledge. He is not fooled, and he is always in control. Well, if you're joining us and going through this 6-month reading plan through the book of Psalms, today's reading is Psalm 139, the title, through verse 10, and I encourage you to read that section. Psalm 139, verses 1 through 6 says this: O Lord, you have searched me and known me. You know when I sit down, and you know when I rise up. You understand my thought from afar. You scrutinize my path and my lying down, and we are intimately acquainted with all your ways. Even before there is a word on my tongue, behold, O Lord, you know it all. You have enclosed me behind and before, and laid your hand upon me. Such knowledge is too wonderful for me. It's too high. I cannot attain it. Well, in these first 10 verses of the psalm, David gives some fascinating insight into our lives and our relationship with God. He lays out the proposition that there is nothing that God doesn't know about us. He also lays out the thesis that God encloses us, and that in that enclosure we are protected by him. And finally, he tells us that such a relationship is impossible for us to understand, even or imagine on a human being level. So I'm not a fatalist. I do not believe that we are robots or automatons just walking around the chessboard of life. I think that we have purposes and goals, but that does not mean that any of our activities can fool God. While there are times that he has interacted directly with people such as Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, right, most of his dealings with humanity are much more nuanced than having an angel announce it to us. Someone asked me one time how I could believe in predestination and free will. They asked me in such a way as to force me to choose between one of the two. And I remembered what an old professor of mine told me. He said, picture yourself standing at a door and a sign on the door which reads, knock if you wish to enter. So you knock and the door opens. You walk in and the door automatically closes, and you turn around to look, and there's a sign on the back side of the door which reads, chosen before the foundation of the world. Now, there's no way that you or I can explain how both of these two statements can be true. But David contemplated this situation, and his answer is in verse 6. He writes, such knowledge is too wonderful for me. It is too high. I cannot attain. Now, there are some things that we in our finite minds cannot understand, and this situation is very frustrating to Western Christians. So in this case, I'd recommend that we try not to understand, and we just take it for a fact that we have eternity to ask God to help us figure it all out. Now our responsibility is to repent and seek after God's will. And if you would like a PDF copy of this entire reading plan, please send an email to phineasjacobus@runningtohim.net.